going to make a fresh loaf of sourdough, right, Ellie? Yeah. So last night I fed my sourdough starter the 1-1-1 ratio. And today, let me just try and figure out where to set this up. Is that good? Okay, so this is my sourdough starter. There she is, beautiful, bubbly, active starter. So now I'm going to use that to make a fresh loaf of sourdough bread. This is a very essential part of my week, making a loaf of bread. So I'm going to do 100 grams of active starter. It's taken me a while to figure out how to get a good feeding schedule in, but I really wait until I have a little bit of starter left before I feed it so that I don't have too much and I'm wasting it. So I've used quite a bit today, but that's a good thing because then I have a little bit to start with when I go to feed my starter again before I make another loaf of bread. That's kind of how I've been working with my sourdough starter to make sourdough bread, sourdough focaccia, and I really want to start making other breads. I attempted to make like a sourdough sandwich bread. Did not come out great, but it was still tasty. It just wasn't that light, fluffy sandwich bread that I was looking for. For now, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator because I'm not planning to use it until next time I feed it. I can't find the whisk, so I'm going to use one of the beaters for like a handheld beater. Gotta get creative, you know? Adding the salt. Now this really gets bubbly when you add the salt. It sounds like Rice Krispies, snap, crackle, and pop. That's what it sounds like. When I first started making bread at the beginning of the year, I was so afraid of doing the wrong measurements, and I've made mistakes now many times. I was so afraid of doing the wrong measurements that I would use so many bowls and utensils. The cleanup was a little insane, but it was worth it because I learned a lot from these experiences. Okay, so I've now kneaded the bread, fully incorporated all of the ingredients, and I'm going to cover up the dough, but this is what the dough looks like. I'm going to do a series of stretch and folds to the dough where you're kind of lifting up the dough and folding it onto itself, which this step is very important for this type of bread because it's helping to build structure in the dough so that it's not so sticky and it doesn't flop everywhere when you go to then shape it and eventually bake it after it's done bulk fermenting and then proofing. So please note, I am very well aware that I am not a great cook, but I love making bread. I love eating bread. And on my YouTube channel, this is just kind of what I like to do. I like to show things that I enjoy, and this is one of them. This really has become my routine though. Every week I like to make at least one loaf of bread, whether it's just for me or it's for my family or whatever else. Making something from scratch, I think, is a beautiful way of showing people that you care. Alright, so I'm starting the pull and fold process, and I just wanted to show you guys because at the beginning of this process, it's very sticky, and you're really trying to build structure, and you can feel it every time that you do it, that you pull and fold your sourdough dough. You can really feel the dough getting stronger. I just did a bunch of pull and tugs. Now cover it back up, and then I'm going to do that 3 more times. I'm so excited I want bread right now, which is why I'm making it, but it's delayed gratification, which is worth it. And this is my little baking partner. Hi, baby. Oh, so sleepy. I know, it's exhausting. And this is the dough after all 4 of the series of stretch and folds. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. It's got nice, well, it's a little sticky, but nice bouncy texture. So now this is going to sit to bulk ferment. And so it will almost double in size, or at least rise by 50%. That's the goal. But one thing that I want to try this time that I've seen people do is I'm going to kind of lay out the dough on the cutting board, on whatever surface that you have, and kind of like really spread it out and then start folding it. I'm going to take the dough and just pour it out onto my work surface. I'll try and show you guys what the dough is looking like. It's looking great. Coming off the sides very nicely. Okay. This looks awesome. Okay, so what I've seen people do is just really like pull it out to the sides and then fold like that. So you're creating this little ball. I just want to make sure that I get the dough really covered. Look at that little dough ball. All right, so now I just start going like this. I don't have this down to the proper technique probably, so if you're looking for proper technique, there are plenty of videos on that. So I just baked off my loaf of bread. You can see it right here. She's a beauty. And now I'm preparing dinner. I'm going to do a bean and tomato dish. It's one of my favorites, and learned this from my boyfriend's cousin, and it's really yummy, very nutritious. So that's what I'm going to make for dinner, and we're going to eat the bread tonight. Fresh bread. There is nothing better than fresh bread. And honestly, I think I'm going to make ciabatta bread this weekend so that we can have sandwiches to go to the lake, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So these are all the tomatoes. I have minced garlic from the other night that I prepped. And now I need to strain the beans. And I also need to prepare some chicken bouillon for the cooking process, and some olive oil, and that should be it. I'm gonna try not to mess this up this time, but we'll see.
anything. It's so good.